Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. Welcome to the Self-Help Comedy Hour. My name is Ed Crasnick. I'm Mr. Anxiety for the month of November. And it is Thanksgiving month. It's a melding of... Oh, let me explain something to those of you who listen. We are celebrity adjacent. We're on the second floor of a coffee shop not 10 blocks from the ocean. And below us is what we call Celebrity Garage. It's a segment where the garage will open automatically. A celebrity comes in, you have to guess who it is, and then we shut them in. Then we close them down. That's what it is. It's Celebrity Garage. That's why I'm going to talk to you about this later, but we have a great show tonight. We're a self-help variety show. We're a show that unites self-help experts and people from the world of entertainment. Usually, tonight, we have two people who are very happy, but with my help, will find the darkness. The darkness will be found. They're not on the edge of darkness. They're at the epicenter of terror. And that will happen tonight. That's all going to happen right here.
Now's where I get a call from my manager.
Right. Well, no, we're
gonna
talk about that. That is the voice of Erica Rhodes, who is I can't wait to talk to her. She's sitting 4 inches from me. And also here tonight is Steve Hibbert, who is involved in the Celebrity Garage segment as well. He has the jaws of life and is heading downtown. But I'm going to talk to Steve, who an actor, a writer. I mean, some of the most famous films. Austin Powers, come on. The 3 Austin Powers films. It's Pat. You wrote It's Pat. You wrote the film. Oh, you son of a bitch. All right. Well, Steve is going to talk to me because another thing that he does is teach improv. Mm-hmm. And you're going to teach me because I'm the worst improviser in the world. I don't believe that. No, I'm great verbally, but my space work is from outer space.
Me too. I can't do the space work. That's why I got held back in Groundlings.
You got held... All right, we're going to talk about all this.
Very bad at space work.
Oh, there's some groundlings.
I'm like...
He's going to ground you.
I don't know what that is.
Groundlings verse, yeah.
I liked it, but the space work really is more challenging than they make it look.
Well, it's not good when you're in the middle of a love scene and you answer an iron. That doesn't help anybody. And you walk through a car. These are things that you shouldn't be doing. And the role that I play in any improv scene is I'm what they call the justifier. I could be in a show called The Justifier. It's like The Equalizer, and I come in, and what I do is I do everything wrong, and then I justify it verbally. Okay. So it's like, hey, do you realize you're in? Whoa, you're answering an iron. Well, that's because I'm hot. I'm hot. My ears are hot, and I'm like the worst justifier. And I try to cover everything. Mm-hmm. So the whole scene becomes about why I shot Kennedy with an iron.
See, my first note to you, Ed, would be, when in doubt, start weeping.
Just
take you out of your head.
All right. Well, we're gonna get tips.
Hey, I did that once in Stardom, that show that I did. I started weeping because I didn't know what to do.
See,
wow.
Right? Yeah, it did work. I actually did that. Oh.
And you know what? It works in improv. Does not work in a marriage. Oddly enough. Oddly enough, as great as it is in improv, it doesn't work because I've been trying it for a long time now.
And the weeping isn't
not as well as you might think.
Maybe if you did the crying with some space work.
Well, I didn't mention that I was answering the iron at the time. It's because I'm trying to get into it. I'm trying to be real. All right, wait. Well, usually I do some kind of a monologue, but tonight I don't think we're going to do it. I don't think we're going to do. And I'll tell you the reason why. I had something. Now, the one thing that I'll say one thing, and that is that I never do characters on this show, and I used to do characters. Seriously, I used to do, this is how far back it goes. I used to do a character named John, it was based on John Bradshaw, who used to be a self-help guru. And he was from Texas, and he was a really brilliant man, and he was on PBS, and he had the specials. And I used to do this thing where I pretended that he was a preacher because he had the voice of a, and I'd say, I went down to the Christian Fellowship Conference down in Dallas. See, sort of thing. And what's great about it is the Christian Fellowship Conference, there are people who come up to you. You're lecturing, see, sort of thing. And they come up to you at that time. And a woman came up to me. I'm a little hoarse tonight. You have to excuse me. I've been yelling a lot. And a woman, because people don't get it. You know what I'm saying? They don't get it. So a woman came up to me and heard it. Let's call her Mary. Let's call her Mary. See? And Mary comes up to me and I said, Mary, what do you love in your life? And she said, I love one thing, Father. And I said, Mary, what is that thing, sort of thing? and she said to me, I love the bran muffins. And I said, Mary, I saw them out there on the dessert tray. And see, I like them, but I don't love them. Anyway, so Mary, so I just do these things. And I started to eat the bran muffins. And what I started to do was I started to stuff my feelings about my father, you see, sort of thing. And I had them I had 24 of the mini ones up in my room, and I started to hide them. See, I was hiding them, and so you understand that we all have things to work on, sort of thing. And so so I would do this. His voice would like go up there. I was hiding them.
Yeah.
I didn't know you did dialects. I'm
See,
impressed.
isn't that amazing?
Really good.
Well, oh, excuse me. Did somebody step on a duck? No. All right. Now here is the it's a combination of old Borscht Belt humor and Thanksgivica. All right. So basically I've been watching Breaking Bad and
Me too.
And many people are you seeing it now?
I'm seeing it late. I'm late to the
Me
party.
too.
I'm on
Where are you?
season 4. 4.
I'm on season 4.
Really?
What episode are you in?
Okay,
I could be such a big spoiler right now.
I know. You could go right to the
don't do
end.
it. I just got to the part where what just happened? The Gus.
Yes.
Gus did
I hope it's not after me because I'm in episode 5 or 6.
of 4.
Yeah.
Okay, Gus kills the guy that worked at the place.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's a beautiful scene.
It is so scary.
It's a scary scene. Here's the thing. I'm so affected by that show. It's like
Me
addictive,
too.
right?
Yeah.
I made a peanut butter sandwich today exactly like Walter White.
Where he takes off the crust?
I made a Walter White sandwich. And I made a Walter White sandwich, and I was very precise with it. And I don't make sandwiches like that. Right. And I made a Walter White sandwich. I put it in, and I have to think about it because I actually brought it with me to remind me tonight. I brought it into a party bag that looks like
A child's party bag.
It's a child's party bag.
Yeah.
That's actually it's a gift bag. It's a goodie bag.
It has colorful circles on it.
Colorful circles, polka dots, and it looks great, right?
Yeah.
And I put a tinfoil peanut butter sandwich in this bag, and I took it to work with me, and I forgot to eat it. And the reason, and what happened is, it festered. The sandwich festered,
meth.
and I started making it. Started turning blue, and I started wearing a mask. No, but what really happened was I looked at the sandwich and I thought this is sort of like American Beauty-ish because the bag is beautiful, but the sandwich inside is not beautiful. Right. And what happened was I realized I'm the sandwich. I said life is the bag and I'm the sandwich. And I said that to a person who was sitting like 5 feet from me, and she locked the door that she was in. She didn't close it. She like like a tumbler went.
Whoa.
I scared her. But I really felt like that. I felt like life is beautiful. Don't be the tinfoil in the bag. Eat your sandwich. Eat your goddamn sandwich.
Is there a sandwich in there still?
No.
Oh.
You ate it.
So you did eat it.
I threw it away.
Did you really?
Yeah.
What?
Because peanut butter should not be blue. It's good for meth, bad
Yeah.
for a sandwich. What's good for meth is good for the gander. That old song and dance. At any rate, let me now turn to you. Let me just set this up here. this young lady has been a regular on like one of the most classic radio shows of all time called A Prairie Home Companion with Garrison Keillor. I mean, she started when she was 10. She's now 11. Or she's wearing a moisturizer. So anyway, yeah. So at any rate, so she started then, and I'm saying it like you're not here, but also an actress, a comediantress.
Yeah, that's what I see. That's my new invention.
Which is a hybrid.
Yeah.
And how many miles do you get to the gallon in your career? No. So how? So
You lost me with numbers. What?
In your career. Now, okay. So, and also on The New Girl, you've been doing acting gigs all over the place.
I just got my first TV job.
What?
I mean, maybe I'm not supposed to say that, but that was...
Say it.
No, I mean, New Girl was my first TV job.
Well, that's congratulations. That's a great gig.
Thanks, yeah.
Did you have a good... Well, first of all, Erica Rhodes. Ladies and gentlemen, Erica Rhodes.
Thanks.
Everything is ass backwards tonight. It's my fault. It's my fault.
I think it's because I keep interrupting you.
No.
I'm sorry.
Now, so The New Girl. Can you take us... Oh, first of all, let me just ask you. You told me earlier, and this is great. We both have a mutual friend. He's your manager.
Yeah.
He's a great guy. He's a brilliant guy. Very funny, too. His name is Bruce Smith.
Bruce Smith.
He gave you some advice.
Yeah. So he called me right before I was heading over, and he said, I know you've been doing a lot of podcasts lately, but remember, this one you can be funny on.
What have you been doing? Celebrity ghost stories?
I was like, oh, okay. He's like, you can just throw in some jokes or, try to be a little bit funny. I guess apparently the other podcasts I've done, we've gone a little bit dark.
Yeah.
And we've been talking about some deep, rooted issues and my childhood and things like all comedians have in this, like the skeletons in the closet. And I guess he was like, this one you can be funny on. Like, he gave me permission.
Well, it's nice of him to give you permission and that you're a comedian.
Yeah.
But let me and an actress, a comediantress. But let me start with a question that I prepared this afternoon.
Yeah.
What are you running from?
What do you got?
Take out the list.
What are you running from?
What is today? What are you avoiding today?
I'm always running from parking tickets.
Really?
Well, actually, I paid them yesterday, which I was pretty proud of myself for doing.
Now, when you say you paid them...
Multiple parking tickets. I have a problem with accumulating parking tickets.
Well, what's the worst you've had? Like, how much in parking tickets have you had?
Oh, now we're going dark right away.
Go deep. Go west.
Thousands of dollars.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Really?
Okay, maybe 1,000.
Okay, 1,000.
1,000.
So that's pretty good. That's pretty good. That's a
Yeah.
lot of tickets.
Thanks. Yeah.
Well, at this day and age, thanks a lot. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Don't be afraid to tell them about your parking
You could
tickets.
talk about New Girl or my parking tickets.
Well, we're going to talk about both of them. Now, the New Girl's salary pays for the parking tickets, I think.
Yeah, about.
I think
almost.
I think it'll pay for the parking tickets. Now, so... the parking tickets. Now, why is that? Why do you think you get them? Is it just a bad sense
I
of...
forget where I'm parked. Like, it's just street cleaning, basically. Just basic,
It's basic street cleaning.
Yeah, street cleaning where I live. Santa Monica is just...
They're always cleaning.
They're always cleaning some street. And I happen to often be parked on that street.
You would think that the
which
streets
they
are very
cleaning.
clean in Santa Monica.
Well, yeah.
And it's actually quite a disappointment. Isn't it?
What?
No. It's really kind of a disappointment to you. No. No. So that happens. Now,
Yeah.
I used to get a lot of tickets, too. I got the boot on my car.
Me too.
How
I don't want to compete with you, but I got a boot on my car.
Did you get an omelet? No. No. Now, you got the boot on your car.
Yeah.
Now, what did you do when you saw the boot? What was your reaction to it? Do you remember? You come out and you see a boot. Exactly.
I don't know if I'm allowed to say that.
That's the darkness. Embrace the darkness. Yeah, that's the thing about you that's so funny. If you know Erica or if you see her, you would try to think, could she have a darkness to her? And I don't see it. I really don't see it.
Not even when a boot's involved.
Not even. Spoken by the man who played the Gimp in the Pulp Fiction. There you go. All right, we're going to get to that.
I feel like I'm hogging the microphone because he's saying funny things and.
No. See that generally I don't, but I feel so comfortable with you here that I feel like we could do the Burns and Schreiber cab sketch and it would be fine. No, it would be. I don't know.
Give me 2 minutes to go find that.
Huh? All right, now, okay, so let's go back to the new girl. Now, what was the experience like for you? And you're a seasoned actress. I mean, you've done a lot of theater. You've performed in front of large audiences with Prairie Home Companion.
Yeah.
How does that experience compare to the other acting experiences you've had?
Well, I don't usually get a trailer in like other things I've worked on. Like
in the Prairie Home Companion, what are the amenities?
Actually, the only other time I got a trailer was when I worked on Prairie Home Companion.
And you shared a trailer with
I got a trailer.
Your own?
I think I shared it with Sarah Watkins, who's a singer.
Shared it with Sarah Watkins.
Yeah.
And tell me the amenities. What was the trailer like? Did it have? Did you have a rider, a list of things that you might have needed?
Oh, geez, I don't know.
You didn't have that?
I think
like
everything was taken
this?
care of.
Okay. What did you see? Do you remember
they
cheese?
They had bananas, It's like, I'm set.
Garrison Keillor, a banana fan.
Yeah, bananas, free bananas, free Wi-Fi.
Don't they have like powder milk biscuits? Don't they have like homemade canned? Yeah.
Oh yeah, rhubarb pie. They had free rhubarb.
Lots of syllable pie. Okay. So I was there one of the nights that you performed. You've been doing this since you were 10, though.
Yeah.
How did you come? I don't want to make you say how you came into it, but as a 10-year-old, do you remember what it was like to do radio with Garrison Keillor for like when you were a kid?
Yeah, I had no idea what was going on. Like I was just suddenly on a stage, and they had like a platform because I couldn't reach the microphone because I was so little, and I just was like saying the lines.
But there's a big audience there.
Yeah, but I didn't.
Didn't throw you for a loop?
No, I mean I kind of grew up like dancing. Like I was like I did a lot of ballet, and I wanted to be a dancer for a while, and so I think that having an audience was kind of. Like, I was used to an audience.
So did you perform for your family? Was that your first audience, would you say? In a way?
Isn't that everyone's first audience?
No. My family was rented to own. No. And he waits and then he goes in. No. Okay. But your mother, we talked about this earlier. And I'm sure you've talked about this a lot, but it is fascinating to people that your mother would be a violinist for the Boston Pops. It's not everybody's parent that does that.
Yeah. Well, this all does come full circle because my mom is a violinist and she's from the same hometown as Garrison Keillor, and she asked him to do a fundraiser for orchestra, and that's how I met him because he came out and did a fundraiser for orchestra, Pro Arte Chamber Orchestra Boston, and then they got along really well, and then I met him, and then he asked me on the show.
But your mom said, my daughter's an actress, by the way.
Yeah, maybe. Something like she tried to be a stage mom, I think, but...
She was playing a specific piece, and during it, she took her bow, took it off the strings, and said, by the way, my daughter's an actress. And then went back to stringing.
Went back to play.
No, I mean, but was she kind of a stage mom? Would you say?
No, she tried to be, but I was very stubborn as a kid, so she didn't have much luck.
But you did want to dance. You did want to.
Yeah, I
perform.
wanted to do certain things, but other things I didn't want to do. So, I refused to audition for Zoom, which was like a big, show for little kids.
Huge show, Boston,
and I was
WGBH.
like, I'm not doing that.
Right.
And she was like, well, are you sure, honey? It's a really big show. And I was like, no, I don't want to do that.
You pick and choose your roles very carefully, like a young Johnny Depp.
Yeah, I was just like Johnny Depp.
Chocolat, no. Chocolat, yes. Pirates of the Caribbean 7, maybe. A definite maybe. I'm thinking it over. So, all right. So you don't do that. You do... Ladies and gentlemen, Cheetah Rivera in the garage with the rolling pin from West Side Story. All right. Now...
Can they hear that? Can they hear
the audience? I don't know if the listening audience can hear it, but I've received 5 emails, and they just say, stop it. And I don't know what they're talking to. I hope
I'm
it is.
sure it's a garage.
They just say, those are the comments.
Just stop.
Yeah. Would you please stop?
They don't mean stop talking. They just mean
just quit. Quit it. That's good feedback from an audition point of view. You go in and they say, stop it.
yeah.
All right.
Just stop.
Just stop. Now, are you good at auditioning? Are you pretty good at it after all these years performing?
You would think I would be, right? But I don't know. I mean, if I was really good at it, I'd be probably booking more parts.
Not necessarily.
No?
Do you strike me as somebody who's very much yourself in whatever circumstance you are?
Yeah, I think so.
Like you don't do you get faster? Do you talk faster? Do you
No.
See, that's what's so fascinating. That's great.
I don't think so.
Because when you were a Prairie Home Companion, this is at the Hollywood Bowl now.
Yeah.
And I didn't know it was you, but it was you. It was
I
you.
didn't know it was you.
No, well, no one knows it's me, which is the name of my book.
Yet.
No one knows it's me.
No one knows.
Parentheses, but I'll be right there in a minute. All right, so you're up on stage with. Let's just talk about now. Who's in the show with you at the Hollywood Bowl?
Oh, Martin Sheen.
Okay.
And then the regulars: Tim Russell, Sue Scott, Fred Newman, the sound guy.
Garrison.
Yeah, of course.
And does he get like you do a run through? You do a rehearsal?
Yeah, we do rehearsal, and then he edits things like 5 minutes before the show. Like we get whole new scripts. We have a rehearsal the day before the show. Then he rewrites everything, and then we do have another rehearsal, and then he rewrites everything again, and then we do the show.
So just before the show, you get all new pages.
Yeah.
And you don't panic.
No.
You didn't panic at 10.
Mm-mm.
And there's no way I can find the panic.
There's no panic button.
I'm starting to panic now, but
That is so great. Now, did you just have this natural centeredness, this natural calmness around performing? Was this always like part of you, always with you? Not something you try to do?
I still get nervous.
And what do you do with the nerves?
I'm not sure.
You get nervous.
Yeah, I get nervous. And I've definitely, there was one show I did with him in New York once when I was younger, and it was basically they did a live show Friday, and then they did a live tape show the next day.
Right.
And Friday it was live in front of an audience, but it was he treats it like a rehearsal for the show.
Yeah.
And so we did the whole show, and then through the show he cut everything I was in. Like in the middle of the show, I was just suddenly written out of everything. And then he came in, and then at the end of the show, he goes, "We need to talk." And he calls me into one of the rooms and was like,
Sounds like a nightmare.
well, it was, yeah. I was really young, and I was like, oh my God, I'm doing, and he just said real calmly, he goes, "I think when you rush the lines, your voice goes a little too high. So just slow down." And that was pretty much it. And then the next day I was written back and everything.
It's a great way to motivate or to teach somebody.
But it was cool because he trusted me after giving me the feedback. He didn't have to see me do it. He was just like, "I need to tell her this. She'll take the feedback,
So he's very easy to work with then, would you say?
Yeah, I don't know if very... I don't know about that.
This is being recorded.
He wants things a certain way. He wants things a certain way, so he's,
Yeah, well, he knows he has his vision. He knows
Yeah.
he created a whole world.
Right, it's his show, yeah. No, he's great to work with, though. I've learned so much working with him.
What are the things that you, what are the main things, and are they things that you can take with you into on-camera work? Like what, for example? Have
From
you picked
him?
up from him, yeah.
Whoa, lots of stuff.
Be tall.
Yeah, be tall. Try to talk real slow. And think about what you're saying before you say it.
Yeah. So it's a pacing thing.
No, but he's taught me a lot about comedic timing. I think that's a huge thing. It's just, you know, something, if you grow up with it in your ear, you just get used to.
And you were studying, you took ballet very seriously.
Yeah.
Then acting.
Yeah.
Then when did stand-up comedy come into it?
Oh, like 6 months ago?
Well, there's no need to shout. I'm right here. I'm sitting in front of you. Why would you shout at a person? At any rate, no. So 6 months ago. So this is really. So what is your experience like? How are you enjoying it, and what's happening?
Oh, doing
for you?
stand-up?
Yeah.
I really like it, actually. Yeah, I mean, it's hard, and I think I get more nervous doing that than anything else.
That's a pretty frightening experience.
Yeah, I get nervous every time I do that. It doesn't matter if it's for like 3 people or like.
Well,
hundreds.
it's 6 months is not a long time.
Yeah. No, I'm really new to it. I mean, most people I know have been doing it for like years, you know.
And what made you want to go into it? What made you jump? Because you're a seasoned performer.
I was
already.
feeling very frustrated not booking anything for a bit. You know, there was like a few months where I just felt really stuck. And I realized that like I just have to perform. Like I love performing. And so I was like, I'm just going to go do this.
You don't want to wait for people to tell you when it's time to perform.
Yeah. I want to be able to do it whenever I want, you
Sure.
know? And also it's kind of like I was putting so much pressure on these auditions, like, oh my gosh, like this is my only opportunity to perform, like for this Wendy's commercial audition. You know, it's like, yum, this tastes so good. And then that's it, you know, like that's your performance for the day.
Sure.
Now I go into an audition, I'm like, oh, well, I have a show tonight, whatever.
Sure.
You know, so.
Well, now, so you're writing your material, and where does it come? Does it come from your own? What kind of material is it?
Well, it's all kind of my own life, yeah. Like what you said, like I'm very much just being myself, and
which already is very unusual for a stand-up.
I'm
serious.
Oh,
when you're starting out, most people pick up somebody else's style. They emulate someone, or they do what they think they're supposed to do.
Right.
What a stand-up is. Even today, even with this world
people
today.
do what they think. Like they watch a stand-up and then they imitate them, and like
that's
that's
how everybody starts. Really, a lot
Yeah.
of people start that way. But you're already a performer.
Yeah.
And so,
and I learned a lot from Garrison about writing because he started having me write for the show, so that kind of helped me.
Yeah, that's amazing. That's your tutor of writing is Garrison Keillor. Because I can't think of anybody who writes better who writes better and creating a world than Garrison Keillor.
Yeah.
His monologues. And he's become, I mean, he's really great with sketches, too. And that's a whole different skill, as we'll talk with Steve Hibbert about in a little bit.
Yeah.
He's here. He's sitting
He's
comfortably.
He's listening.
No, he's sitting comfortably.
Being attentive.
He's sitting comfortably
He looks
in
very
the epicenter of
comfortable.
discomfort. He's comfortable with the discomfort.
You have to be.
Okay.
You have to be.
So well, that's stand up.
I know,
That is
right?
stand-up. And you're going to be very successful at it, I think. I'll tell you, because your ability, and I think it's a great talent, actually. It may come naturally to you, but it is great to be able to be in your own time and be yourself.
Right.
Most people, especially people who start stand-up, are not in their own time. They're very fast. They don't look at the audience. They don't connect with the audience.
Yeah.
And this is what happened when my class coming up was Janine Garofalo and David Cross and Odenkirk and all these guys, and they were in their own time. They had this thing where it wasn't based on audience response.
Right.
And so they didn't change who they were, and they just kept doing it.
Yeah.
Regardless of the response.
That's actually a huge thing that, again, my manager Bruce says is that, like, he likes comedians who make the audience go to them rather than pandering to the audience.
Yes.
You know, which a lot of new comedians do, where it's like, oh, I'm not getting laughs, so I'll just figure out some way to get a laugh, you know.
What can I do to get laughs? Yeah. I mean, Jonathan Katz, who's from Newton.
Oh, yeah.
Who's a good friend, and I spoke to him about this, and he said that he was very conscious of you know, he said he had a hard time when he first started, and he was very down about it for a long time. And then he realized that he wasn't for everybody.
Right. Yeah.
And he said, Ed, I realized at that time that I'm not for everyone, and so I just sort of brought the audience along with me, and they found me at that point.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's what I'm learning is that I'll do one show and it will go great, and then the next show it's like, eh. But that's just kind of how it is, where it's like some people get me and some people don't.
And that is how it is.
Yeah, and that's kind of.
But you now have you have the experience of this is what it's like to be me on a stand-up stage.
Yeah.
And there's nothing you will ever do. No writing, no contacts, no anything can give you that.
It's
Only
true.
you can give yourself that.
Yeah.
Good night. I don't think there's any point in going on.
I think it's all been said.
Yeah.
Good night.
Now, so now I was reading something about you, and I have to, because you look online, I know Bruce, I know everybody, but I also like to see, what's being written about you, or have you been on any other shows?
Uh-huh.
And I happen to be listening to one podcast, and I was listening, and they had this thing, and I'm going to ask you about it. I don't usually talk about this stuff, but I'm going to talk about it.
Uh-oh.
We don't have to go to the dark side.
I'm scared.
But it's very interesting to me. And the word is abstinence. And now I'll be quiet.
Can you give me a definition? Because I'm,
Abstaining from something.
Okay. Anything.
Anything.
Oh. And what was the question?
There's no question.
I thought you were going to list another credit or something, and here you are just going to the...
No. Let's go around the other way, okay?
I was gonna say...
So
okay.
Relationships.
Oh, yeah. Uh-huh.
Being an actress, being in the business,
Yeah.
meeting other actors.
Yeah.
Meeting other maybe comedians too.
Yeah.
How is that?
It's awful.
It's awful. No, I mean, is it awful?
Well, no, it's just kind of not. I don't think that it's an easy setup for dating.
Right.
You know?
Right.
So, LA's kind of.
But the good thing about you though, which is rare, is that when you're on stage, it's not really that different from who you are off stage.
Right.
So when they see you on stage, they don't get an image of you that's different. They know who you are. They start to get a sense of who you are.
Yeah.
So you don't have people coming up to you saying, "You remind me of Gallagher," which you're presenting an authentic person. That's who you are.
Right. Yeah.
So people in a comedy club wouldn't mistake you for Gallagher, for example.
I didn't see Gallagher at all.
Or someone, no hat, no trains going around on a brim.
She hasn't pulled out a watermelon yet. So I think
No tarp.
I'm not. I wear this tarp anyway, just in case.
What's a tarp again?
Tarpaulin.
Gallagher makes a big mess on the stage, and people in the front row have like a big plastic.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they'd wear a tarp.
Yeah.
All right.
don't
So
do that.
but really, your career.
Yeah.
In order of priorities of your life comes, you've learned a lot tonight, comes tarp, Jew, loud, fast, big car, tickets. No, I mean, so now what, is that a priority to you to be in a relationship and to be, I don't know, maybe you are in a relationship.
I'm in a kind of relationship. I'm not sure what it is, but.
Not sure what it is yet.
Yeah.
You're a kid.
You're a young person.
No, I'm old enough to to be settled down with family and kids.
Really?
And dog.
Is that what you want?
No.
Someday? No. Well, there's no rush. Just like the act, there's no rush.
Yeah.
And so are you yourself? You pretty good at being yourself in relationships because you're good on stage, good at being authentic, good at being real.
I think so. I think I'm good at being myself, but
Is there something that's hard for you in Is there anything that comes up that is like that? It is for most people.
yeah, I think that. Well, I think I'm very honest, and so sometimes people don't like that. Like real, people don't really want you to be that honest.
Right.
Especially like at the beginning of a relationship, I think.
So you would say, you would be real about your feelings and what's going on.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's no miscommunication of like the other person thinks that something's going on, but maybe something is not going on. You would tell them.
I don't know.
Well, I feel like we're back to square one then.
I don't know. I needed to talk to my therapist about this. I don't.
Have you ever been in therapy?
I am in therapy. Yeah, I have been for like 7 years.
Fascinating.
I highly recommend it.
Fascinating. Now, what brought you into therapy originally? Seriously, because I've been out of therapy for a while.
Really?
But prior to that, I was in therapy every day for 62 summers.
What?
No, I've been in.
Were you
Please, I've seen fire and I've seen rain. Sunny days, not so much. But so you've been for 7 years. Same person?
No, I had someone different in New York.
Okay.
And then I had one here, but I got very lucky with the one here because he only charged me $20.
Can I get his name and number?
Well, now he doesn't. He only gives me that price because I met him at the LA Counseling Center, and then he left that place and got his own like office. But he's kept what he was charging me there. Yeah, basically, I just.
That's a grandfather therapy clause. All right. So, and is it pretty? How much of the stuff comes up about your career? Or is most of it really just personal stuff?
Oh, yeah, no, I talk a lot about my career.
Right.
Yeah, a lot.
And what style does he have? Would you say that is he somebody who talks a lot? Is he very supportive, or is he mostly listening? Or
he's very supportive. He actually talks more than I think a lot of therapists do.
Mm-hmm. And you like that?
Well, yeah, I like it. Yeah. He says that I'm very straightforward, so he says that's good for him. Know, like if he says something that I think is stupid, I'll be like, that's stupid.
Have you said those words in a session?
Yeah.
Wow. I'd be terrified to tell a therapist.
Really?
I don't think I've ever told anyone that's stupid. I've never said those words in my life to anyone's face. I say it all the time as soon as they're out of reach.
Jeez, I say it a lot to my therapist.
And he'll
just be like, yeah, you're probably right. It was kind of dumb.
It's fantastic.
Yeah.
Well, you look happy and you look well, and so obviously it's working for you and not for me. No, I mean, what I'm doing is not the right.
Maybe you should start beating up your therapist.
I am going to really say, now what? I've had therapists that yell because they're more angry about what I'm telling them in my life than they're me.
Whoa.
I've had people say, "What?" And I'd say, it's not as bad as it sounds. And I try to calm them down. I've had
sounds like a role reversal.
I've had so many, but that you really, the thing about therapy is that, and I've said this many times before, it takes place in an office.
Yeah.
That's the problem with therapy, because you don't live in an office. And so I really feel like therapists should either film you, they should do documentaries, or they should come live with you, because that is how you are. But in your case, that's wrong, because you are authentic and real in the session, so they don't have to live with you.
Yeah, well, he does take calls. Sometimes I call him.
You call him?
Yeah.
This is a great arrangement.
He's awesome. Yeah, he's great. He'll text me.
Have you ever called? He'll text you?
Well, he texts me like reminders because I used to forget therapy all the time. And so now every night before I go in, he's like, just confirming therapy tomorrow.
That's good.
Yeah, it's nice.
They're not texts like ILBWYS.
What's up?
BBYO. YOLO. You up. Text that you don't want to see from your therapist.
Yeah.
You up ?
Don't want to see that.
You out of bed?
You up ? What's on for today ?
Watch with a Z.
Haven't heard from you in a while.
I actually had, and this therapist was from Newton Highlands, where you're where you're near.
Do you know that like 0.5% of all psychiatrists live in Newton?
Is that true?
Something
Newton,
like
Newton, I buy that. Definitely.
Yeah,
Newton.
A lot of psychiatrists in Newton.
Per capita, absolutely.
Yeah.
This therapist was an analyst, and you would lay on a couch, and they would sit behind you.
Never done that.
Old school.
Yeah, this was really this was in silent film era. I was starting with Fatty Arbuckle in
Buster Keaton was directing.
in the original Porky's. At any rate, so here's behind. The guy would sit behind me, but if I didn't, if I wanted to and I didn't like this man. If I wanted to cancel, he was married and he was getting a divorce at the time that he was seeing me in therapy.
Well, the fact that you knew that was a problem.
Well, that's a problem.
Yeah.
And then he would talk like this. He'd say, "Miss Ed Crasnick, it's my job to identify patterns of irresponsible behavior."
What?
And that would just be, how you doing? That was like a warm up to whatever. But anyway, that guy was in Newton Highlands. I had to drive all the way to Newton Highlands.
From where?
From Randolph or Hull.
Well, where were you born again? Brookline?
I was born in Dorchester.
Okay, I was born in Brookline.
I lived in Coolidge Corner for many years.
Really?
On Stedman Street behind the Kennedy birthplace.
Wow.
Which is why I learned my
I went to Devotion.
I lived across the street from the Devotion School.
What?
Yeah, for years.
That's crazy.
I worked at the Children's Museum of Boston and lived at the Devotion School. No, across the street.
Bit of a giveaway.
I was researching people. No.
People are the luckiest.
Well, I can't believe that. You're the second person that I know. I have a friend who grew up in Brookline. He was going to the Devotion School as a kid while I lived across the street as an adult.
Wow.
Sunrise, sunset.
All right. One season. Now, okay, so now I'm going to come back around. So when you were a kid going to the Devotion School. Mm-hmm. No. Oh, my God.
It's the ghost.
It's Celebrity Ghost Stories. You were, okay, so you just told me, though, but in school and growing up in Boston, did you ever live in the city as an adult? Live in Boston as an adult?
No, I didn't. I moved, I went to Boston University for a year.
Oh.
And so I lived on campus for half the year.
BU's theater program, were you involved
No,
in?
I did the music program.
Okay.
So I played cello.
So you were very serious about music.
Yeah.
And how'd you come back around to acting?
I don't know. I think I just always knew I was going to do acting. Like cello is a little bit like my mom's thing, you know.
Okay.
She's a violinist, so I was kind of like just sort of following her footsteps, and I didn't really like playing in an orchestra. Like I hated that.
Why is that?
I don't know. I just found it kind of tedious. You're like, you know, part of a huge thing, and the cello doesn't usually get the melody.
Right. It's hard to play certain songs.
I was really, really bad at sight reading.
That's not good when you're in an orchestra.
Yeah.
But the
So I
cello's
would.
a beautiful instrument.
It is. Yeah.
Any cello mishaps that we should know about?
It is.
Just saying,
It's a fact. It's a fact.
The box and all this for cello?
The what?
Is it box?
Oh yeah, Bach suites. I
Yeah,
joke
Bach
that that's the only thing I can play anymore is a Bach second suite. Anytime anyone asks me to play cello, I'm like, yeah, I'll play that. Play the same thing.
That's a good same thing to play.
Right, the second suite.
Can you hum it or?
Da 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 da. It goes on and on.
You've been listening to the Bach Suites by Borodin. That's Now, if you could do that in the orchestra, you probably wouldn't be bored.
Right. Well, it was, that's solo cello. You know, like if I was good enough to be a soloist, I think I would have maybe wanted to be a cellist, but I wasn't good enough.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Now, are there cello mishaps? You
Like
carrying
what
a cello
kind?
across the street? Is there? That's a stock comedy thing, but is there like Woody Allen, a cello in a marching band? But did you ever have a mishap when you were playing? Like all of a sudden, you're in a situation, and probably not, because you're pretty practiced.
The only thing that would happen is maybe the end pin would like slide.
And
sometimes, like if you're on like a slippery surface, it like slides.
And then you have a note that
and
maybe
you keep trying to a note might go out or something.
you're not in the middle of a chamber music and somebody turns next to you and they give you these looks of like that. You're in the middle of a beautiful piece, but anger is being displayed.
Oh, I think that happens a lot in like quartets and stuff.
Have you had that experience? Worked with people like that?
Um,
Have you ever worked with somebody in a quartet or in something, and you just can't stand that person, yet you're playing beautiful music?
Oh yeah, I think that happened a lot. I mean, I know that happens with my mom all the time.
She comes home with stories.
Yeah, she has stories where she's like, I can't stand this person. Right on cue.
Said something naughty.
That's an orchestra. That would be really funny, is that she comes home at night, you're having dinner, and she says, I'm going to kill Esa-Pekka Salonen right now because that man is an asshole. No, I mean, you wouldn't hear that too much.
She wouldn't say that.
She wouldn't say it that way.
No.
No, she's not a truck driver.
Or a murderer.
Yeah.
My mom, there are two things that my mother is not.
See?
All right. Well, what are we working on in therapy? Seriously.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Therapy?
What are we working on?
Right.
Steve is going to block his ears, and you can, because he's from England, and so everything.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, he's from Fleetwood. We're going to talk about
I didn't hear an accent for a second.
No, tiny. It was tiny when we moved here.
Oh, okay.
We're going to talk.
That
about
makes
it.
sense.
Yeah. And then we're
what I'm working on in therapy.
Yeah, and then we're going to and then we'll this will be a good denouement for us.
Okay.
And then we'll have a little interlude, and then we'll have Steve. We'll play
Okay.
something for the home audience. Yeah, we'll chat face to face.
Can I stay? Can I listen?
You can move over to where Steve is.
Yeah, that's what
Yeah.
I like.
Okay.
I would like to do that.
Okay.
Because he's been so supportive of me, I would like to return the favor.
Well, now you know why he's such a great writer and such a great teacher.
Yeah.
Because he is a naturally supportive person.
Yeah.
I'm blushing.
Okay. And again, being from Great Britain, you wouldn't ordinarily blush.
No.
Or you
No.
might, but you wouldn't call attention to it.
No.
And I'm hitting the chair.
Your head off.
Okay. Woo! The head comes right off. So what
with your head.
are you working on? Because usually people, they go and there's something that they're trying to do.
Well, he always tries to get me to talk about my childhood and stuff like that, and I'm not good at that. So sometimes if he does it a few times, we both acknowledge that that's a pretty big step for me to be able to talk about stuff, because usually I'm like, whatever, yeah, it probably happened, yeah, probably because of my dad, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, so yesterday,
Right.
so I try to avoid that a lot. So lately I think I'm a little bit more, I'm like, yeah, I guess it is relevant.
He poses things that connect to what you're talking about.
Yeah. So he's been talking a lot about kind of distancing myself from my parents in ways that are my mom, whatever's going on with them, that I don't take it on myself too. And also that I'm not less hard on myself in general.
You're pretty
hard on
much
myself.
of a perfectionist.
Yeah.
What do you do when you're hard on yourself? I mean, is it judgment, or is it are you?
Yeah, just I think everybody has a little bit of that, where it's you could do better, you could do more, you want to be better,
Especially you're an
blah, blah, blah.
actress,
Yeah.
so your rejection is a common language. Okay, that's and tonight was going to be Bring Your Own Insecurities night.
Oh yeah, we were going to talk about that.
I don't know I didn't say anything about mine, but
yeah,
would there be an insecurity of yours that you'd like to share with whoever's listening right now?
Yeah.
I like your voice went down.
Yeah, now that you mention it.
Because Garrison Keillor said going high, now you're going
now
low.
I'm going low.
Yeah.
Insecurities. Yeah? You
Uh,
going to volunteer yours first?
Well, yeah.
To make me feel more
yeah,
comfortable?
not good enough. Feel I have no value. Go.
My life's meaningless, and I'm never going to amount to anything.
No value. Go. No. All right. Yeah. So is that something that comes up?
What? Not
Whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm never going to reach my goals or things like that. I mean, I think I will, but that's an insecurity that probably drives me to fulfilling it. You know what I mean? So it's kind of like maybe it's not a bad insecurity.
Do you think there'll ever be I've done what I've wanted to do? I mean, do you have a picture of what that is?
I don't know, actually. I mean, I don't know does anyone have that feeling even when they've really like...
I don't think you ever do.
Yeah, I don't think so.
It's like when you, as you age, you feel like, well, when am I going to feel that age? And you never
right.
do. You never, there's just never, there's moments of clarity in life, hopefully.
Yeah.
But I don't think there's ever that moment when you go, yeah, I'm all done.
Yeah.
And be wary of that. I think anyone who's willing to shut the patent office, you're asking for trouble.
Yeah, I think so too.
Striving and trying to do better.
Yeah, and also your goals change. Like, I never thought I was going to do stand-up, you know? And so, like, that's a whole new thing where I'm like, wow, now that could go in a different direction. And so as you get older, I think you have new goals and new aspirations.
Challenges.
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
okay.
Yeah.
Well, you're gonna come on again.
Oh, cool.
We're gonna visit with you, and we're gonna find out about the stand-up and about how things are going. I'm gonna bring up your childhood.
So do that work in therapy.
That's actually, my therapist does that too. He'll warn me ahead of time. He'll be like, all right, I'm going to talk about your childhood again.
Right. So that you know,
Yeah.
and it'll be fun, you know.
Okay.
But I love talking to you. It's a pleasure.
Me too. Well,
Okay.
thanks for having me on.
Thank you for coming on. Now you're gonna do-si-do with Steve.
Okay.
And that's Erica Rhodes, everybody.
Thank
Erica
you.
Rhodes.
Thanks.
And look for her everywhere. Everywhere. And I mean everywhere. EricaRhodes.com. EricaRhodes.com. And thank you for coming, Janet. Steve brought you into It's a World, and I'm sure there'll be conversation about it afterwards. What did you do to me?
What did I ever do?
What did you do? What did you do? Well, now we're going to play a song. We usually play a song for the home listeners. We're just going to break away to do this. And I think that we need to play, I thought in my head, and maybe we should, this is a song for all of you people listening that Buddy Holly wrote this song. But the version that I'm going to play is not Buddy Holly.
All right.
It's actually the Gary Busey version from the Buddy Holly story. And it's a song called Rave On. All right back here on the Self-Help Comedy Hour. That's radio time. That was Rave On from Gary Busey, actually, in the Buddy Holly story, which is a really entertaining movie. Really great, because the actors are doing all the singing and the playing, so it's pretty amazing. But joining us right now is a gentleman farmer. No, is a guy. You have had. This man has had a very interesting life and career because from the Groundlings, from writing movies like It's Pat, and by the way, we had my first writing job in town was with you.
Yay!
And I'm gonna remind you of it in a little bit. But terrific writer. Worked on all the Austin Powers movies, was in them, and wrote them with Mike Myers. And
punch them up, if you will.
Punched them up with along with Mike Myers, and was in the movie Pulp Fiction, playing the part of the Gimp.
Yes, I was.
And did all this amazing work, and became a teacher at the Groundlings. Brought people through that, and then the last time that we spoke at any great length, you were tutoring at a place called School on Wheels.
That's right.
So I have to follow this trajectory of life because you've done amazing things in a lot of different aspects. No, you really have. You're saying that because you grew up in you were born in England.
Yeah.
So you by law
I'm required to belittle and
to belittle
everything.
right. You got to belittle it.
Yeah.
So there'll be a lot of belittling here. This is Steve Hibbert. Steve.
Hello.
I'm so happy to see you.
Ed, I've known you for years and you're a wonderful guy.
Thank you.
I just
very
want to
much.
say that.
Well, I tell you something. I've always thought of you as a very upbeat person. Is that true?
Generally speaking, I try to stay optimistic.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think I am. Yeah.
Basically, yeah.
Basically.
What does it look like when you get a little bit down? How does that manifest itself?
Well, it depends on what the thing is. I mean, sometimes it's just like a shrug. Other times it's like devastating. And And it depends on what it is. Right now, like my children are 1,000 miles away. They live 1,000 miles away. So that's a constant devastation.
Yeah.
But having said that, I'm planning to move there in a couple of months to Denver, Colorado.
Is that right?
Where I'll be teaching again. I'm going to be teaching actually sketch and sitcom writing at the Lighthouse Community Writing Workshop. It's a nonprofit there, and they do writings. They have all kinds of authors who come in and speak. They have classes. It's a really great nonprofit. So I'm going to be working there, doing some work with a couple of other theaters in Denver, cobbled together a bunch of little part-time things and be in Denver, and most importantly to be with my kids who've been there for nearly 2 years now, and it's been
very difficult.
Yeah.
How old are they?
They are, Veronica is 14, Rosalind is 12, and Greg is 9.
Amazing.
And
Amazing.
they're the finest people I've ever known.
It's a great thing for a parent to be able to
It's
say.
absolutely true.
Yeah. I feel that way about my daughter too.
Yeah.
Just turned 9.
Yeah.
Well, now.
Well, you know that.
Yeah.
You know the feeling.
Well, now, so moving there to be with them. Now, do you think will that be a hard shift? It won't be hard to be near them.
No, but
will
it'll
it be
very
difficult for you?
Yeah, because I love Los Angeles. I have great friends here in Los Angeles, for example.
You actually do love it here. You like
I really
the city.
do love Los Angeles.
Yeah.
I think it's one of the greatest cities of the world.
Okay.
It gets degraded all the time, but it's beautiful, and it couldn't be an easier place to live. I mean, you can walk out at 3 a.m. and it's lovely.
Right.
So there's so much. I love the ocean. Right over there.
Right, we're a block from the ocean. We're at the Cow's End Cafe. It's
I
pretty cool.
indicated that block for our radio.
Steve is very good with space work. I'm not.
I'm indicating the ocean.
He's not answering the iron.
Yeah. No, refuse to answer iron.
All right, so
yeah, there's tons I'll miss, but I'll be with my kids, and I may come back. It's a free country.
Right.
But I want to be with them at least until Greg graduates high school, which is 6 or 7 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, it's going to be it'll be great. Well, you've had many adventures. I mean, you have done a lot of stuff, a lot of things in show business, and you've enjoyed those things.
Loved them.
Okay, but now what was the turning point of moving into, because School on Wheels?
Yeah, it was a fabulous nonprofit that I'm no longer associated with. I left in May, but I still have I have lots of great friends there, and it's a great thing. But part of the segueing into moving to Denver has been sort of letting go of things, and that was one of the things I let go of. But School on Wheels became very disillusioned with show business. It seemed very shallow and all of those cliches. But I was looking for something where I wasn't just sitting around belly aching with, millionaires about a better joke. So I wanted to find something that had a little more weight. And School on Wheels is a nonprofit that provides volunteer tutors with homeless kids. And it's an invisible population, but there are literally thousands and thousands of homeless children registered with LAUSD. Live in shelters, motels, cars, you name it. So School on Wheels has been around for about 20 years and grew exponentially, unfortunately, because the problem grew exponentially. And now I think there are about 1,000 volunteer tutors in Southern California working with at least that many kids, basically providing one-on-one tutoring.
And what kinds of things would you like? What kinds of subject matter would you tutor?
Depending. I worked with kindergarten through 12th. I wasn't very good with trigonometry and stuff, but whatever they needed help with, that's what you're there. And a lot of these kids, because they're so transitory, they've they move from shelter to shelter, motel to motel. And they're sometimes in 3 different schools over the course of a year. And I remember moving, and all that implies, the social difficulty of that. Whenever you move, they say that you lose at least 3 months of education because they're at different stages and all of those things. So these kids have unbelievable hardships. Having said that, they're remarkable. They're just like my kids, who, through no fault of their own, are in these incredibly difficult circumstances. So it was great to just be a small part of helping someone who deserves so much help. And I was fortunate to have, at least a couple of dozen students of my own that I tutored and got to know pretty well just by I became a volunteer tutor coordinator with School on Wheels. So I got to meet literally hundreds and hundreds of kids every year. And without exception, they were remarkable kids.
Amazing,
Yeah.
amazing. When you train a volunteer tutor, what qualities? What do you need to learn?
I think as a parent, this rule number one is patience. So patience is a great thing. Listening, and for these kids, but for all kids really, just being there, knowing, letting them know that you're there to help in any way you can. And tutors were always very concerned, well, what if I don't know it? I can't remember, my grammar and all those things. But that's great. You're sitting there with them and they see, this 45-year-old guy doesn't know how to do this either. Let's learn it together. So it's a great lesson. You never stop learning.
Right.
And, there's nothing wrong with not knowing something. What's great is learning something. There's nothing wrong with getting the wrong answer. It's the next time you'll have the right answer.
Sure.
So it's just those basic lessons. As we were fortunate to grow up in homes with, parents who were there. A lot of these kids, the parents, they're dealing with just the basic mechanics of survival. So to be able to go there for an hour or two every week and just be a positive presence, huge. So, never mind just helping them with their spelling, reviewing their spelling for Friday. Just being there, you're not getting paid. You're just there because you want to be there to help. Has a huge impact. And
a stable presence.
Yeah, exactly. And being a stable, consistent, every Tuesday from 4 to 5, Ed's going to be here to help you with your homework.
Right.
Whatever the case may be.
And so it's amazing to me that homelessness is such a big problem for children. It's amazing for anybody.
Yeah, the cliche is the guy on the street yelling about something who's the Vietnam vet with a 1,000-yard stare, and that's definitely is a segment of the population. But a large portion of the population is single moms with their kids. That was the population we were serving, generally speaking. There were some single dads there, and God bless them. But generally speaking, it was single moms. And then also, it's particularly in Hollywood, where I had shelters that I oversaw, a lot of runaways leaving, family conflict, who would run away from family conflict. They either came out or they're just abusive situations. So.
And how much of it entered into? I mean, was it literally just sort of more focused on the education, the school subject matter, or how much stuff comes up where we're talking about a family situation.
Yeah,
we're talking about an issue.
I think that is fairly common. I mean, hopefully most of the time is spent helping them get up to grade level in the subjects that they're having difficulty with. But they're human beings, and like anyone you see only once a week, you come in saying, "Hey, how was your week, Ed?" And there it is. Yeah, and there it is. So, the purpose of School on Wheels is to, help with the education and to tutor. But oftentimes, at least a portion of the hour or two was spent discussing. And it's great because then you can relate. You can relate to the time you were bullied as a 7th grader, and you can, let them know you get through these things.
And how much of your improv background, you're
Huge.
Being able to think on your feet?
Well, and listening. And just that, which is rule number one, as you know, Erica, of improv is listening. And that's a huge part of it. It's just being there and being present in the moment. And again, it's yes and exploring and heightening together. You're not doing it for ha-ha purposes, but you're doing it because you're there to be present in the room with this kid.
So now, is it schoolonwheels.com?
School on Wheels Inc. Yeah, .org actually.
School on Wheels.
One word, schoolonwheels.org. And the requirements are just a desire to help a kid. And the great thing about School on Wheels and what attracted me, you could pick the time, day, or hour during the week that you're available to tutor. It's generally, after school, obviously, but between 4 and 8, 1 day a week for an hour a week. You can do more if you like, but that's up to the volunteer. You can pick the grade range you're comfortable with, K through 3, 3 through 6, whatever. So you're able to, plug into a situation where you're going to be of the most help. And then, unfortunately, but fortunately, there are shelters all over LA. Yeah. And most of them are disguised as apartment buildings. You drive by them all the time. But they're all over the place. Right where we're sitting here, there's probably 5 or 6 within a 4 or 5 mile radius. Whoa. At least, if not more, actually. So there's plenty of opportunities for people to volunteer. If you can't volunteer at the time, your schedule's too erratic. They always need school supplies, brand new backpacks, all of those things. Because every tutoring session, or the beginning of each tutoring session, when you start with a student, you bring them a brand new backpack filled with new school supplies, which is a great thing. And but we're always looking, to get laptops donated, all of those things. So schoolonwheels.org is a great organization.
Are they getting support?
Yeah, it does get its support, but it's unfortunately
ongoing.
Yeah, it's an ongoing need. But it's an impeccably run organization. Really, literally, I'm sure every charity says, 95% of what we get goes, but I know for a fact from working there as well, that the resources go to providing volunteer tutors with kids. That's overwhelmingly what they do.
This is an amazing, I remember when you told me, and I have it's something that, it's something that I should be doing right now.
Well,
I should be doing it right now. An hour.
An hour a week.
Okay.
But having said all that, it's been a huge part of my life for the last eight years. So.
8 years.
Yeah.
So you made a real. Was there a particular turning point? Was there like, I can't do this anymore? Well, I have to get out of this business.
Well, no. I still stayed in show business because I do have 3 children to support, so
sure.
I can continue that. But there was a part of me that felt like there has to be a little bit more.
Right.
I just feel very fortunate that I found School on Wheels.
And certainly gives colors and gives different perspective to show business, to what you are doing.
Keeps a lot of that nonsense in reality. I didn't come home from like a commercial audition that went bad, ready to, bust my head against the wall.
Sure.
It was kind of like, well, that's what it was.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
Yeah. And it really does have nothing to do with you. It has
right.
everything to do with all sorts of other reasons. But
right.
But yeah, it was just a great reality check. And in the meantime, as a semi-regular on True Tracks and VP, I did all kinds of other.
Gordon,
yeah, exactly. So I did all kinds of other things and continued to do punch-ups and continue to send off specs and all those things. So I still kept my hand in the game, but it felt much more balanced.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow, that is amazing. That is really great. And it's great. It's great. You're changing.
It's really funny too.
You're helping somebody's life. Well, we're gonna get to some of the crazy madcap stuff that happens out there.
Yeah.
Now, all right. So you're gonna have another big adjustment. You're gonna be going to Denver.
Yeah.
And John Denver is from...
No. What? How'd that happen?
Actually, Justin, who helps me with the show, is from Colorado.
Oh, yeah.
And can tell you a lot about Colorado.
My kids are in Lakewood, suburb of Denver, yeah. Nice. Yeah, it's a lovely place.
So
it really
cool.
is. They're really not. I've been there in the winter, obviously. They've been there for 2 years. I've been there a lot. Yeah. And it's a dry cold.
So, there you go.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's not a humid.
No.
Well,
now he's an optimist.
Listen. You were born there, but you spent most of your formative years over here.
Southern California. Yeah, I grew up in LA. We immigrated here when I was 6. So, but I still have lots of relations back there, particularly on my mom's side. So I still see.
What's their vision of what you're doing now? Like the show business stuff. Was it?
Yeah,
did they like it? They didn't care for
No, they
supportive?
loved it. Yeah, they were very supportive.
Yeah.
It just seemed like a totally different world. It's so funny. I come from a small town in Lancashire called Fleetwood, and it's still in many ways very Victorian. You grow up in a town and you stay in that town, and you kind of. It wasn't so much a factory town. I mean, like the rest of the world now, everyone sells insurance and does .com jobs. But having said all that, there's still, it's very provincial in a lot of ways. I mean, I remember last time I was there talking to my Uncle Pete and saying, did you ever want to move somewhere, from Fleetwood? Well, we thought of moving to Lytham St. Anne's, which is about 2 miles down the road. It's like
thought about it.
Yeah, exactly. But thought,
after careful consideration,
why turn the universe upside down?
Oh Jesus! Well, now you were with the Groundlings for a long time.
That's where I got my start in show business. I went and saw a Groundlings show, and I thought that looks like fun, and I started taking classes there, and progressed through the system. They have a farm system. You get into the Sunday show, and I was fortunate enough to get into the main company, And it's where I met my first wife. I've had two.
Now, who's in the main company, if you can just describe? When you get into the main company, who's in that main company?
Well, when I got into the main company, it's years ago, but it was Phil Hartman was in there. Yeah. Tim Stack was in there. John Paragon. Paul Rubens had just left. Edie McClurg.
Pee Wee Herman. Paul Rubens.
Paul Rubens. So all kind of, like a lot of legends. And then people I was with who went on to fame themselves, like Conan O'Brien and Will Ferrell and Julia Sweeney and Chris Parnell and Kristen Wiig and blah blah blah.
And then Julia Sweeney you met and you guys got married.
We fell in love and we got married and we were writing partners. Julia got cast on Saturday Night Live in '90. Yeah. And so we were writing partners, so we kept writing there. It was a really fun 3 years working on SNL.
So you're working on SNL.
Mm-hmm.
Now, are you writing everybody's stuff, or are you writing mostly for Julia?
Primarily with Julia, but then Mike Myers and I started writing together, which has led to me helping them out with all the Shrek movies and the Austin Powers movies as time went on.
That's a good gig.
Yeah. No, it was great. I wish Mike hadn't retired. I'd still be doing stuff with him. But
wow.
He's a dad now.
Was he a blast to work with?
He was.
He
was fun.
Yeah.
He was fun. I mean, neurotic and all those things, but clever. Creative people are neurotic. So
and brilliantly talented.
Yeah.
Brilliantly
really
talented.
Yeah. And was really fun to work with in terms of would listen to everyone's suggestions where, there was no demarcation. Everyone in the room, wherever it came from, whatever the best joke was, let's do that one.
Was there stuff on the set of the Austin Powers movies that came in the moment?
Yeah, there was. There was a lot of stuff. Mike came out of Second City in Toronto, so he had that improv background rather than the stand-up background. So he was very much was used to not depending on just himself to come up with the funny.
Sure.
Yeah, so.
Sure. And you've been in a lot of different kinds of writers' rooms.
Yeah.
And that's a certain kind of thing. We started on a show with Howie Mandel.
Yes, Sunny Skies.
With Sunny Skies, and I got to tell you, and that group went on to most of those people went on to fame.
Yeah.
You, Rob Cohen.
You.
Yeah, me. Yeah. And Glenn Berger and John Abel,
yeah,
who wrote a little movie, wrote for King of the Hill, and then wrote a little movie called Kung Fu Panda.
So you do the math.
Yeah. So there you go.
Yeah, that was a fun. That was a fun room.
Yeah, it was.
And we got to go to Toronto for a while. The whole thing was great.
Yeah, it was a good time.
Made some trips to Vegas.
Made some trips to Vegas. Turned the plane upside down. The jet with my partner Bruce, who screamed his head off.
Someone asked me the other day, had I ever been on a private jet? And I thought of. Yeah, once with Mike going back and forth, but that was my first private jet flight with.
That was Howie Mandel. Yeah, that was a blast. Howie likes to. He's the best practical joker in the world.
He was.
Really
I had
best.
the smallest office on that show.
Yeah,
and it literally was a converted broom closet.
Yes, I remember that. That's right. That's right.
I tried to be British and stiff upper lip. No, it's all right. I'll take this one. And the next day, Howie had put the biggest plant in it that took up the entire. Congrats on the new office. It was literally like an 8-foot tree.
He shut down all of UTA, all of United Talent, one day by doing crank phone calls as a character named Louis D. Barnes. And he would call up Rob Cohen's agent at UTA the whole day. He took the whole day off. And he would call him up and he'd say, "Hello, my name is Louis D. Barnes. I'm asking about Robert Cohen." And they'd say, "Well, his agent is, we'll put him right through." "Well, I'd like to talk to that man." So they put him through and he'd say, "The money is on the table." They'd say, "Well, what are you saying?" He said, "I'm saying we're doing a late night show. We'd like to hire him and the money is on the table." And he did it all day long. And then they'd call Rob up and Rob say, "Yeah, did you talk to Barnes? Because it's the money." "Yeah, the money's on the table."
Apparently that's where the money is.
Unbelievable. The whole day. So he'd do stuff like that. I mean, he has so many good stories. Yeah, exactly.
All right, thank you.
He's been on the show, and we had a great conversation.
He's a delightful
amazing guy. Yeah. Amazing guy. Brilliant.
Yeah. He's cool.
Yeah. But now, so all right, so you're in the, and you're doing that now in teaching improv.
Yeah.
What are some of the mistakes that people make when they come in? When they first come to the Groundlings, see, there's UCB, which is like the latest thing.
Right.
But the Groundling, what is the difference between the two schools, first of all? Is there any difference?
I don't know. I probably not a lot of real differences. I think, those basic rules of improv still apply.
Right.
The yes and, don't deny, eye contact, listening, all of those things. Space work, which we'll be doing a little space work.
Right, the space work on radio, meaning that you create a reality to what you're doing, and if you're
which is great because you're not suddenly on that horrible blank stage. Oh God, where are we in the middle of like a void? Right. But if you simply just start using a space, like you start cooking, for example, all of a sudden it centers it, and you're doing something. And you're absolutely right. I'm like, mime work is horrible, but just the suggestion of doing something, fixing yourself a drink, it kind of takes. The more you can get out of your head, and the more you can get into performing and into that, like playful state, the better it is. And those sort of tricks, like centering yourself and aware, knowing who you are in relation to each other, what's going on, this is the day we're getting a divorce, whatever the case may be. It just takes you out of that like writing session mode and more into playing a scene mode.
Were there tricks that you would use for yourself? Are there tricks that you can use to center yourself?
Yeah, I think the space work was a big thing for me.
Just here I am
with something.
I've got a coffee cup.
Yeah, I'm in a foxhole with a gun, looking for the enemy or whatever.
But don't complicate it.
Yeah. Keep it very simple.
If you're in a foxhole, you don't have an iron.
Nope.
You're not shaving.
Nope.
Right?
Nope.
You're not shaving.
Nope.
There's no cordless, no place to recharge it.
Just cold water in a foxhole.
Yeah. So here I am.
Yeah. So that was always something I was trying to do at the beginning, and then we were talking about it earlier. Just make a choice. Start crying.
Any choice.
Yeah. Fall in love.
Right.
Start crying. Get angry. Throw something on the ground. Act coy. Whatever the thing.
Strong choice. Clear. Strong. Yeah. Go big if you can.
And again, limited responsibility. It's enough for me to cry. I'm going to let you tell me why I'm crying. Then it's enough for me to say, well, you always say that about me because you think I'm not, whatever.
You do the behavior.
Yeah.
And let the other person justify.
And then the other person will do a behavior, and then you can justify that, and then you're just building it together. It's like a little tennis match.
See, that's great, but it's not. What's not easy about it is that most people are in their heads, and if you try to be good, you're out of it.
Well, and
you can't try to be good.
No, you can't try to be good. You can't try to be funny.
Right.
You can't try to be cool. Because isn't you try to be those things, sure and begorra,
right? To
use an old phrase, you're certainly not going to be.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And so when you got people in your class. What are some of what are the first thing you break down? What do you break down?
I think I always tried first of all get everyone relaxed and just get into that vibe of let this be almost like you had that favorite class in school.
Right.
Let it feel that way to them. Just be playful, self-deprecating. Let them know that they can be free to try anything they want here. And usually what I tried to do, I don't know if I succeeded very often, but I always tried to find what was the really funny thing about Ed or the unique thing about Ed that he should really be drawing upon all the time. That doesn't mean, you're always cranky Ed in every scene, but there's an essence to Ed that you should trust. So it's getting people to trust those instincts.
You see it, you pick it up.
Hopefully you see it, yeah. Over the course of, the 12 sessions, hopefully by the 5th, 6th session, you're kind of getting...
Here's what he does.
Yeah. And this is what I want him to trust, and he'll build from that, and he'll grow from there. But you want to get that kernel of the essence of Erica or Ed or Justin or Janet. That they.
Now, have you had acting teachers?
Yeah.
Have you taken acting classes?
Sure.
Have you had stuff? Have you had crazy? Like, have you had James Liptonian?
Yeah.
Have you had that?
I had one. I went to Estelle Harmon's Theater Institute.
Of course you did.
Yeah, back in the early '80s, and I took classes also in college and stuff. But first acting classes, and he was an Israeli emigre, and he would just talk the entire class. So we'd be there, we'd have scenes to do, but he would just talk the entire class. And I can't remember a word he said because I just remember thinking, he's taking hours away from my life every time I come here.
Right. He's sucking up my oxygen.
Yeah,
I'm paying.
But he was a really handsome guy, so everyone just was enthralled with him.
Was he saying stuff about his career or just things you should do?
Theories on acting.
Theories.
Yeah.
I have some theories.
He had theories.
I had one acting class in San Francisco, and it was the classic crazy thing, which was this lady comes. It was Gene Shelton's acting school, and it was one of the big schools in San Francisco. And I'm sure she was a great teacher, and I'm sure at one time she was an amazing actress. And I got her toward the end. And so I was doing a scene from Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf, which already is a mistake. But I was doing it, but literally she did this. She did,
oh dear.
I'm so bored. Is anybody bored? Because I'm really bored right now. Are you bored? Who's bored?
Well, there's a way to get someone not to trust themselves.
Yes. So it's that old classic, which Stella Adler used to do that, and all these people used to do. Is it too late for them to get their money back? You know, they would do that stuff.
Yeah, the
break you down.
Break you down. Well, there is part of that too. You know, but part of that breakdown doesn't have to be cruel, but it has to be, take some of the responsibility off your shoulders, or whatever the case may be. Don't work so hard at this. It's got to be easier than this.
Right. Well, that's the thing is you think, and that's the same thing for stand-up or anything. You cannot be in relationship. You can't be present. If you can't be present in some sense, you really make it hard.
Yeah, and if it's a drag, there's a problem.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, auditioning is hard.
Yeah.
I mean, it's hard for that.
I'm not saying it's not difficult, and you have to prepare and you have to do all your homework, but ultimately, if it's not an enjoyable pursuit, then by all means don't
this
do it.
is not the business.
Yeah, by all means don't do it.
Don't be doing this as homework.
Yeah,
this is not homework. All right. Well, now
this was the opposite of homework.
Well, I hope so.
It really was.
I hope so, and I'm glad that I found out the timing of the show now.
Yeah.
Because I was prepared for a certain kind of show, and now it's not that show. Right. That's okay. That's all right. I want to find out though. Now, is there stuff that what stuff are you working on? I mean, have you ever written a book? Have you ever wanted to write a book, a play? Is there other kind of writing that you like to do, or is it mostly screenplays?
Mostly screenplays, and of course sitcoms and sketch and all those things. But it's funny. I've actually started to write a book.
Yeah.
And it's a novel.
Huh.
And I won't bore you with the details, but it's interesting because all of a sudden, a lot of the rules of writing sketches and sitcoms and comedy go out the window. Even though the novel, I hope, is going to be amusing, it's a whole different, it's expository writing. And while there's dialogue and all of those things, it's a, shock. Writing a novel is different than writing a half-hour sitcom.
It's a little bit different.
It really is.
And there's no...
But I'm thoroughly enjoying it. And it is so... We were talking about therapy earlier.
Yeah.
A lot of it is very therapeutic for me, so I'm really enjoying it.
Yeah, it's very interesting process. I mean, I can't know about it, but I
you don't want
I
to know.
tried to
You
start
don't
something. I tried to start something, but not a novel, not that form. But now, writing on a sitcom, what's the funniest sitcom that you've ever been around or been on a staff with?
Well, been around, probably the funniest I was, I guess, started on a show called Just Shoot Me, which isn't a very famous
I know
sitcom.
it well. I was on the show,
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And I always found that show really delightful.
Well,
and I was fortunate enough to have a nice little part on one episode.
Yeah.
And so that... It's just nice, whatever the sitcom, and I worked for several years as a writer on a kids sitcom called Boy Meets World. But the nice thing about being in those two places and other sitcoms I've been a part of is the sense that everyone is being there to be paid as funny as they can be. That's your job, to be as funny as you can be. And that's a really good job description. If you can plug into that and your job is to be as funny as you can be, I think that's you should feel very lucky.
Yeah, well, that's a good perspective on it, because often that, sometimes that gets, you forget that when you're in the room, and it feels like competing, and it feels like, what's my spot? It's like being in a family.
Yeah, like, where am I in the pecking order?
Where do I fit? Yeah. And did I overstep?
And and I'm saying that from many years removed, that
right.
Yeah, so you get that perspective later, and you try to keep that perspective, but while you're in the sausage factory, all you can see is the horrible gutted sausage.
Yeah, the horrible pigs being slaughtered. Yeah. Now SNL, you're in there. Originally, you went in with Julia. but that's a crazy place.
Oh yeah.
I mean, that
crazy
is
hours, and everyone knows all the stories of, like, everything on the fly. But it's a really, and I'm sure I haven't been there for years now, but it was and continues to be a well-oiled machine. There's a real definite structure to it, and you just plug into it, and tons of material is generated every week, and tons of material is thrown away every week. It's just like talk about a sausage factory. It's
and you can't be you're not going to be fighting for jokes in there.
No. But my favorite memory, if I can end on a little story of Saturday Night Live, is when my Nana, who's passed away since, but was a remarkable woman, and had moved to America, divorced her husband, and moved to America in 1961 to become a maid. Didn't know a soul. Just answered like in the International Herald, answered an ad, and started working for the Irvine Company as a maid.
As a maid?
Yeah. And she was, let me do the math real quick, she was about 48 years old. A divorced woman in that time.
Wow.
I'm moving to America in 61, I'm going to be a maid.
Yeah, exactly.
Fantastic.
So she was an amazing woman. I loved her. Hilda was her name. And she came to visit Julia and I for 1 week when she was at SNL. And there's the after show party. And so I said, Nana, we don't have to stay long. It's going to be a late night. She was thrilled and was having a ball. And needless to say, about 4 a.m, I was dragging her out because she was sitting in amongst Chris Isaak and his band, who loved her to pieces. She told stories about the Blitz, and and I was like, "Come on, Nana, it's time to go." And Chris Isaak, "No, let Hilda stay. We'll make sure she gets home okay." So.
Yeah, hanging out with Chris Isaak.
Yeah, like you do.
Hilda.
Yeah, Hilda.
Came to be made.
Hilda Chatterton.
Yeah, Hilda Chatterton and Chris Isaak's show.
Born in Manchester in 1906, and
that's fantastic. That's
had
good.
a remarkable life. So
that's
my favorite memory of SNL, actually.
Sure, why not? And are you still in touch with Julia? Are you guys still friends?
We're still friends.
Yeah.
We talk every couple of months or so. She has her life in Chicago now, so. Sure. But I make a point, and it's my second wife, Alicia, too, the mother of my 3 children. We're obviously all in touch constantly because of those wonderful 3 kids we share.
Sure, fantastic.
Yeah.
Well, you're a very interesting guy.
Oh, sure.
You're a very interesting guy, and the stuff that you've been doing, the stuff that you've managed to balance is fantastic, because you're the School on Wheels and the stuff that you're going to do in Denver. Yeah. I mean, that's.
Yeah, it's all part of a continuum, I think.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Well, I loved having both of you. It's been wonderful to have you.
Good job, Erica.
You know, Steve Hibbert, Erica Rhodes, thanks for being here. This is the Self-Help Comedy Hour. I want to thank Justin Wise on sound.
Yay.
And I want to thank Jason Tanner for letting me be here. Now, the Self-Help Comedy Hour is heard each and every week on Wrecking Ball Radio. Next week, another show. Keep coming back. It works if you work it. I'm Ed Crasnick. Have a great week.